walk me through yesterday. You're there with the rest of the beat that's covering the Timberwolves, and then all of a sudden, what filters in that Jimmy Butler's in the gym?
Yeah. So here's what happened. We kind of knew that Butler might be at practice. But they do not allow the media into the practice to watch it. So, nobody really had any idea what was happening. They tell you to go at a certain time, show up at a certain time for media availability.
Yep.
The practice ended a half hour early yesterday. Now, we don't know if that was because of what Jimmy Butler did or not. That's very unusual. That practice ended a half hour early. And so they let us in. We talked to Thibodeau for a few minutes. He doesn't mention anything about Butler. A couple of players come, Anthony Tolliver and Jeff Teague, and they're asked about Butler. And their comments don't really, make you think that anything weird had happened or anything out of the ordinary. Jeff Teague, who's one of the most, I think, unshakable guys in the NBA, just kind of said, yeah, we had a good practice. Jimmy was around. Jimmy's my friend. He brings a lot of good energy to the team. Comments that kind of look hilarious in hindsight, based on what happened yesterday. But really, you wouldn't have had any idea that anything out of the ordinary had happened yesterday if you had shown up for media availability after practice.
So how does one insert oneself into a lineup of third stringers, Chris? What did you hear? How did that – seriously, I want to know the actual – how does one do that in a practice?
That I'm not sure how that all went down. People around the team are being very quiet right now. And it's kind of hard to get anybody to talk about this, but it was quite remarkable, the legend of this practice, and it's something that is probably going to grow throughout time. But that's kind of what happened. He challenged Cat, he challenged Wiggins, he challenged the front office. He said what he said. He tried to, I guess, walk it back a little bit later in his ESPN interview, but all that stuff happened yesterday, and it's quite remarkable. And it basically laid bare all the issues that have been going on with this team that have been bubbling under the surface since late last season, the tension with Wiggins and Towns especially.
Well, what is the tension about? He doesn't think they've got it, that they don't have the stomach, the heart, or they don't care? They don't. I mean,
that's exactly it. Yeah, I think in some ways Jimmy Butler's kind of an extension of Tom Thibodeau on the court. He's very hard-driving, very demanding, very competitive, and I think that's why he and Thibodeau have gotten along for so well throughout most of Butler's time here in the NBA. And I think he looks at Towns and Wiggins, and he sees two guys that he doesn't think work as hard as he does. And that was the mantra that he kept repeating late last season, and it's something that he said last night in his interview. These guys have all the talent in the world, but they don't work as hard as me. And I think that's the main issue, and that's the main reason why he wants out of Minnesota, is because he doesn't think he can win with those guys. Now, the ironic thing is, you look at his list of teams that he wants to go to, the Nets, the Knicks, and to a lesser extent the Clippers, and you say, well, those teams don't seem to be in a great position to win right away. So what's this all about? So in a lot of ways, he's sending mixed messages with some of his comments and some of his actions.
Well, Chris Pine, Minneapolis Star-Tribune here. The mixed message as well is that he's saying the issue isn't money, it's the players that are on the court. And then why is he yelling at Scott Layden? Because those are the players that Scott Layden is telling Glenn Taylor is the nucleus of this team. Is that why he's barking at the general manager here in practice?
I think so. It was a weird comment because I don't think the Timberwolves would dispute that they need Jimmy Butler to win. That was allegedly what he said, that you bleeping need me to win. And I don't think the Timberwolves are disputing that. And I think that's why he's still on the roster and there still hasn't been a trade made, because I think Thibodeau is still holding out a glimmer of hope that Butler is going to be on this roster and they can try to make the playoffs with him there. I don't think they dispute that. But what's this all about? I think a lot of it is money at the end of the day. I think that Butler's and his camp are mad that the Timberwolves did not throw out his deal as they could have under the CBA and give him a new max deal this summer. They only offered him a 4-year, $110 million extension. If they had renegotiated his deal this summer, it would have necessitated a lot of salary cap maneuvering that the Wolves were not ready to undertake.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.